My name is Justin McRoberts, and I'm the host of the At Sea podcast. The following is a clip from episode 7 of our podcast, featuring my guest, David Bazan. In this clip, David responds to a pair of quotes from Madeline L'Engle in which she suggests that the discipline of creation is an effort toward wholeness, and that great artists have gained their wholeness through their wounds. I hope you enjoy the clip, but I also hope you check out the full interview by visiting us at atseaevents.com or going to iTunes and searching @Sea, A-T-S-E-A, or my name, Justin McRoberts. On the tune, or on the same wavelength as talking about journey and foolishness. I don't know if you know Madeline L'Engle's stuff at all, but
we're reading Wrinkle in Time, my daughter and I, right now.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
There's a graphic novel version of that book. Are you a graphic novel guy?
Well, sure. I mean,
sure.
Not all the way, but yes.
Okay. There's a graphic novel, and I don't remember who the author is.
Yeah.
It is so. Sometimes like you take the novel and you make it graphic, and it kind of loses a bit.
Oh man, because she's into comics crazy, and
she would love it.
She's struggling a little bit with it in the middle here. But yeah, so that'll
it's really
super
good. Regardless, so L'Engle writes about the sort of this I guess ethic or sort of root of art making. It's a book called Walking on Water, and there are these two quotes from the book that I want to sort of poke you with and see what comes out. The discipline of creation, be it to paint, compose, or write, is an effort toward wholeness. That's the first part of the quote. Then it goes on to say, the great artists have gained their wholeness through their wounds.
Yeah.
That seems so definitive, or descriptive, I should say, of your process.
Yeah.
Because we talk about like the willingness to look foolish.
Yeah.
Specifically, this newer record, like you've never shied away from darker themes and difficulty and strife. And you've never, it's not that you've been like averse to personal struggle. This record seems to get deeper into your own skin than previous times. I mean, you've had these really personal moments, like on Branches, and the conversation with your daughter at the end. But that's still kind of this like theological thing that's happening. This record feels like you're sort of in, like as a listener, you're sort of in this really wavy, kind of unsettled psychological moment in your history.
Yep.
Do you feel like when you're talking, let's combine that with the notion that you see what you're doing as a kind of a larger body of work as opposed to one moment. Do you feel like there's a progression? Like do you feel like there's a journey? And is it toward wholeness? Like, do you feel that?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, Branches, I didn't want to write Branches. I didn't want to write a record about those things. At that moment, that was my chance to sort of redefine myself, to kind of recast myself. It was the first solo full length. I thought that Fewer Moving Parts was a subtle evolution from Pedro in a way that hinted at this other place that it could go. And I wanted to write in slightly more obtuse ways. The expressions of folks like Britt Daniel and these guys who somehow their heart is clearly in it, but it's mysterious. And I wanted a little bit of mystery, I think, because I felt at the time like I had been pretty unmysterious. And so that was the backdrop. And then these songs started coming that were the songs from Branches. And I was like, oh, well, here's this one outlier. Like I'll use this for something. But I was almost like trying to write a record separately. And then the songs from Branches were kind of piling up, and I was playing them live. And the whole time, like for the first little bit, thinking like, is this going to be an EP? Yeah. I don't want to make a record about this, kind of thing. And then when I would play these house shows, as I was writing these songs and bringing them to these house shows, two things were happening. One, I would hit the downbeat of the song to start playing, and then almost in the blink of an eye, I'd hit the downbeat to end it. And they would go by so fast, Like I would hit it.
Really, really connected.
I was I was inhabiting them completely.
Yeah.
without knowing that was what was happening. And then people were like gasping at some of those songs have like punchlines, little moments, and I would drop those punchlines in these house show situations, which were still pretty new at the point for them and me. So it's like really rarefied air in a way. Like we're all just looking at this thing like, what's going on? And then I'm singing these songs that are pretty vulnerable in that context, but they're about this bigger thing that we're all sort of really haunted by. Like a lot of us who are at these shows, you know, not every Pedro fan is Pedro or Bazan fan is a Christian or a former Christian, but there is an abnormally large percentage of, especially the former Christians.
Which is part of the uniqueness of your audience and part of what I'm going after in terms of like this journey you've been on.
Yeah. And so we're all experiencing, and in a way I'm experiencing these songs for the first, second, third, fourth time too. So they're new to me, and these ideas that, you know, are new. And so people are gasping at these punchlines and laughing in a really uncomfortable way. And it's like these really provocative and sort of like tense and stirring kind of shows. And so in the end of that, I just had to admit, like, well, dude, your body is doing something and you just need to like listen to it.
Give into that.
So I did, and I thought that I had processed my kind of whatever you would call it, my break from the Christian tradition, the way that I had participated in it previously. But I hadn't, and I needed to write those tunes and play them each 200 times before that work was really done, you know? And that was humbling, because you really think that you're in control, or you can sort of, that in normal human terms you can sort of process stuff, but like these songs are, you know, for the subject matter, they're relatively potent, they're heavy tunes, and I played them each so many times, and it really was, I really needed all of each little drip of water from, or of, you know, renewal from those things and therapy. I needed all of it. And so, you know, strange negotiations. So now I start to think of everything as like, yeah, I'm getting more whole for sure. And
you started sensing that process with the Branches.
Oh
record.
yeah, clearly.
Way more conscious about it. Like that may have been happening in the Pedro years and to some degree with with the first EP, but then.
Well, in the form that it takes is that, like, so when I write a song like "When We Fell," where I'm talking directly to, you know, on the surface I'm talking directly to Jehovah, evangelical, specifically probably Reformed Church Jehovah in this song, which in the context of our culture is not a proxy for the real thing. That is what we perceive as the real thing.
Yeah.
Or
the perceived reality.
The perceived reality of God. So I'm writing this song at the perceived reality of God, which is the starting point, and it's scary. You know, there are still voices in my head when I'm writing "When We Fell" that are saying, "Lightning, watch out." Like, if you get struck by lightning as you're driving down the street, as this lyric is forming in your head, you won't be surprised,
right?
You know, because I have these I mean, there's all of these different perspectives that are still being represented.
Yeah.
So I'm writing about the perceived reality, which in Christianity is synonymous with reality. There's no distinction between those two things in Christians' minds, in my experience, and there wasn't in my mind. And so part of the journey with a song like that, and as a microcosm of the whole record, I start to realize that I'm talking to the Wizard of Oz in some way, or maybe it's not the Wizard of Oz. Maybe it's just, oh my God, I'm speaking to institutional thinking.
Yes.
I'm speaking to a character that we have, this fictional character that might bear some resemblance to reality, but if it does or doesn't, that's not the point for this culture, and that hasn't been the point for me. And so starting to realize, and so, but these songs, my subconscious sort of like my criteria for them was unknown to me, but they came out in such a way that even as these shifts of perception of what the subject even is in the song is happening, the song still works. The perception of the subject morphs into some middle ground. Song still works. Now I know, I see it for the facade that it was totally,
The
that it was
subject.
always the subject,
Yeah.
the song still works. And so somehow, for me, that was the weird staying power of that record, is that I could sing those songs, and as they morphed, in my head, they were changing. So it felt new all the time. Like it was actually making those little gradual shifts in my brain and kind of unhooking me from the real delusion that I participated in with Christianity. Not that Christianity is a delusion, but there is,
much delusion
within.
I hope you enjoyed the clip, but I also hope you check out the full interview by visiting us at @cevents.com or going to iTunes and searching @CATSEA or my name, Justin McRoberts.